Welcome to Online Classroom by Department of School Education. I am Ritu Bhandari from Shaheed-e-Azam Sukhdev Thapar Government Girls Senior Secondary Smart School, Bharatnagar Chowk, Ludhiana. Students, today we are going to do a very important topic. But before doing that, I would like to ask you whether you have been to some adventurous journey with your friend or relative, and what would you do if your friend or relative is in danger. Of course, you are going to help him or her without caring of anything or fearing of anything. A very similar story we are going to do. No time for fear. Let's start it. Before starting the chapter, let's know something about the author. A native of Atlanta, Georgia, Philip Yancey earned graduate degree in communications and English from Wheaton College Graduate School and the University of Chicago. He joined the staff of Campus Life magazine in 1971 and worked there as editor and then publisher. He looks on those years with gratitude because teenagers are demanding readers, and writing for them taught him a lasting principle: the reader is in control. In 1978, Philip Yancey became a full-time writer, initially working as a journalist for such varied publications as Reader's Digest, Publishers Weekly, National Wildlife, Christian Century, and the Reformed Journal. For many years, he wrote a monthly column for Christianity Today magazine. Now coming to the chapter, No Time for Fear is a story about the bravery of a young Canadian named Malcolm. He saved his friend Bob from a grizzly. His terrible encounter with the grizzly explains the title No Time for Fear. He was reduced to a freak, but Bob still loved him and married him. Her true love brings back hope in Malcolm's life. Let's do a pre-reading activity. Let's learn some new words, students. Huddle. Huddle means to crowd together. Sit closer together, usually because of cold or fear. Hike. Hike is a long walk in the country. Snow flurry. A short, sudden fall of snow. Gurgle. Gurgle means to make a sound like water flowing quickly through a narrow space. Splash. To fall noisily onto a surface. Creek. Creek is a narrow area of water where the sea flows into the land. Grizzly bear is a large, aggressive brown bear that lives in North America and parts of Russia. Reared up. Reared up means raised up. Frightening. Frightening means making you feel afraid. Obscured. Obscured is something which is difficult to be seen or that is hidden. Growl. To make a low sound in the throat usually as a sign of anger. Rage, a feeling of violent anger that is very difficult to control. Glisten, glisten means to shine. Drooling, small particles of saliva falling from the mouth. Fleck, a very small piece of something. Grunt, grunt means to make a short, low sound in the throat by animals to show that they are annoyed. Ducked, moved the head or body downwards to avoid being hit or seen. Swat, swat means to slap. Gnawing, biting steadily, instinctively, based on instinct, not thought. Grab, to take or hold something or somebody with your hand firmly. Seize. Leap, leap means to jump high. Spurt, to burst or pour out suddenly. Nauseate, to make somebody feel disgusted. Dizzying, feeling as if everything is spinning around you and that you are not able to balance yourself or feeling giddy. Gully, a narrow channel formed by rainwater, a deep ditch. Rat, dug at with a claw. Rip into, to go very quickly and violently into or through something or somebody. Jab, strike at with quick blows. Lumbered away, moved in a slow, heavy and awkward way. Scrap, to get rid of something that is no longer useful. Throbbing, feeling a series of regular painful movements, a feeling of pain that you experience as a series of strong beats. You feel throbbing during headache. Wriggle, to twist and turn your body or part of it with quick short movements. Sinew, sinew is a strong band of tissues that joins a muscle to the body. Revulsion, what is revulsion? A strong feeling of disgust or horror. Haversack, a bag that is carried on the back, especially when walking in the country. Tediously, taking too long, lasting. Staggering, staggering means walking with weak, unsteady steps. Prop, to support. Gauze, gauze is a thin net like material used for bandages, etc. Sedation, administering of drugs in order to make somebody calm or to make one sleep. The state resulting from this. Harrowing, very shocking or frightening and making you feel very upset. Obligation, the state of being forced to do something because it is your duty or because of law, etc. Commitment. Freak, freak, a person who is considered to be unusual, because of the way he looks or unexpected. Despondency, a mood of sadness without much hope. Demurely, quietly and seriously, hesitatingly. Students, this pre-reading activity must have enhanced your vocabulary. You should know how to use these words and you should practice them to speak as well as to use them in your daily life. Let's read the text now. The two young Canadians huddled close to the rusty steel heater. Malcolm Espeslett, 19, and Bob Beck, 18, were on their longest date yet, a hike to Balu Pass, 2050 meters up in British Columbia's Glacier National Park. See students, this is Balu Pass. Malcolm and Bob, they have gone to their longest date. Isn't it beautiful? Yesterday, the climb had seemed a pleasantly uncomplicated way to celebrate a day off from their hot, noisy kitchen work in the park lodge. The hike had gone smoothly until they reached the top, but there they had been unexpectedly caught in a freak snow flurry and forced to spend the night in one of the park's alpine cabins. Now, next morning, the two sat on the floor, talking and laughing. They had met 2 months before and had spent many hours together. Both loved the mountains enough to spend their holidays doing kitchen work just to be near the Canadian peaks. It was the first day of October 1971 and the summer season had just ended. There were no unshuttered windows in the cabin, so periodically Malcolm would open the door and check weather conditions. About mid-morning, the snow stopped and the young couple began their descent hike. Bob, wearing smooth-soled, knee-high fashion boots, kept slipping and falling on the ice. So students, the two young Canadians, Malcolm and Bob, they had gone to Balu Pass. There at the top, they had been caught in snowfall. So they had to spend night together in a park's lodge. Now they had to descend. So Malcolm was checking weather conditions and they started their journey back, and it is beautiful morning. It is full of sunlight and they are enjoying the landscape, the beauty everywhere, and they are enjoying their longest date. The 5-kilometer trail, marked with frequent zigzags, followed a creek bed down the mountains. It took the couple only an hour to reach the halfway point. They stopped to rest for a minute, leaning against a bank of piled up snow. The sun out now had warmed them, and both were wearing only sweaters, their coats tied around their waists. A nearby waterfall gurgled with newly melted snow. They dipped their hands in the cold water and playfully splashed each other. Then they started off again, Malcolm in the lead. Hidden danger. 100 meters further along the trail, Malcolm stopped short. Two bear cubs were playing in the creek gully about 20 meters to their right. The day before, they had seen a mother grizzly and two cubs. They had shouted and waved and watched through binoculars as the mother reared up and roared at them. They had been more funny than frightening with a safe kilometer, and a half of distance separating them. But now a mother bear, perhaps the same grizzly, could be just over the ridge, obscured by the bushes. So both of them are unaware of this danger. What is the danger? The mother grizzly. Yes. Malcolm stood stiffly, trying to decide what to do. Perhaps they could slip by quietly. But as he lifted his boot for the first step, the mother bear suddenly came charging over the ridge with a half growl, half scream of rage. Bob saw immediately that it was a grizzly. The silver-tipped fur glistened in the sunlight, and there was the characteristic hump on its back. How can something that huge move so fast? She thought, then felt herself being flung into a snowbank by Malcolm. Malcolm saw the charging grizzly's open mouth. The bear was drooling flecks of foam and making short grunting sounds. A second before the bear was on him. He ducked, but one swat of the grizzly's paw knocked him senseless. For a moment he was blank. When he raised his head, he saw that he had been thrown 3 meters. The grizzly had found Bob. The girl was face down and motionless in the snow, and the giant beast was standing on her leg, gnawing near the back of her neck. Malcolm did not hesitate. There was no time for fear. So, students, see the title of the story, No Time for Fear, is justified. The grizzly attacked Bob. Malcolm was senseless, but he could not see this. He did not hesitate. He did not have any time for fear. Instinctively, he grabbed a hunting knife from his belt and ran towards the bear, shouting. The mother bear stood well over 2 meters and probably outweighed him by 250 kilos. When he leaped on her back, she didn't even quiver. Malcolm could hear the gnawing sound of teeth against bone. Crazed with anger and desperation, he plunged himself the knife clear up to the handle into the grizzly's neck fur. He pulled himself higher on the thick humpback and slashed at her neck. Warm blood spurted. The grizzly let out a deafening roar and snapped her head backwards. That quick head motion sent Malcolm's knife flying and broke his wrist. So, students, Malcolm fought very bravely. Bear hug. Now the snarling grizzly turned towards Malcolm. She grabbed him with both paws and squeezed him against her chest. The smell of blood and bear nauseated him. The grizzly swatted at him with her huge claws. The first blow took off his hair in one piece like a wig, most of his scalp going with it. Then he was rolling over, clutched by the bear. The dizzying motions stopped when they reached the gully bottom. The bear racked his face repeatedly as she bent to rip into his neck and shoulder with her teeth. Malcolm freely jabbed with his fist at her sensitive nose. His jabs had no effect. Malcolm closed his eyes. It's all over, he thought, and stopped struggling. Incredibly, almost as soon as he stopped moving, the grizzly let go. She swatted him once more, then scraped dirt and twigs over him and lumbered away. So when Malcolm stopped struggling, the grizzly also left him. At first, Malcolm wasn't sure he was even alive. He was lying half in and half out of the creek. He felt no pain except a throbbing in his wrist. Slowly he wriggled out of the creek and called weakly, "Bob, are you okay?" So he was still worried whether Bob was okay or not. Bob, afraid the grizzly was still around, didn't answer. She crawled to the edge of the gully and saw a bloody clump of hair. Then she saw Malcolm half buried. His face had been split with a wicked slash, and the right side of it was peeled back to reveal muscle and sinew and a nearly severed eye. She shouted, "Malcolm, hold on, I am going for help." Tossing her coat to him, she started running towards the lodge. Let's do a post-reading activity. You have to answer the following questions in 10 to 15 words each. Are you ready? First question. Who were Malcolm and Bob? Malcolm and Bob were two young Canadians. Very good. The second question is, where did they go on their date? Yes, come on students. Very good. Malcolm and Bob went for a hike to Balu Pass, 2050 meters up in British Columbia's Glacier National Park. Third question. Yes, why were they forced to spend the night in a cabin? Can you answer it? Yes. Come on. Malcolm and Bob went to the hike to Balu Pass. The hike had gone smoothly until they reached the top, but there they had been caught in snow flurry, so they had to spend the night in a cabin. Excellent. The next question. Who attacked Bob? It is very easy. Yes, all of you can answer. A very big grizzly attacked Bob. The next question is, how did Malcolm try to save Bob from the grizzly? Yes, Malcolm saw that a very big grizzly had attacked Bob. He took out his hunting knife from his belt and ran towards Grizzly. He jumped on her back and stabbed the knife into the grizzly's neck fur. The grizzly left Bob and turned towards Malcolm. The next question. Why did the grizzly leave Malcolm? Malcolm jabbed Grizzly with his fist at her sensitive nose, but his jabs had no effect. Malcolm stopped struggling. He thought it was all over. But as he stopped struggling, Grizzly left him. Perhaps she thought that he had died. Next question, students. What did Bob do when she saw Malcolm after the grizzly had gone? Can you answer it? Yes. Yes, Bob shouted that she was going for help. She tossed her coat to Malcolm and ran towards the lodge for help. So students, this was part 1. Malcolm and Bob, they were two young Canadians. They went to their longest date at Balu Pass. There they were struck in snowfall. When they were descending back, they encountered a grizzly. The grizzly attacked Malcolm. Malcolm was protecting Bob and he was badly hurt. Now, based upon these events, I have planned a very interesting activity for you. Some jumbled sentences will be provided and you have to rearrange them according to the sequence of events as they are in the text. Are you ready for it? Let's do it. Create the sequence of events as you have read in the chapter. First, Malcolm would open the door and check weather conditions. There was a hidden danger. The grizzly could be just over the ridge, obscured by the bushes. The two young Canadians were on their longest date, a hike to Balo Pass. The grizzly had found Bob. Malcolm saw the charging grizzly's open mouth. Yes, students, do it. Which is the first one? Yes, very good. The two young Canadians were on their longest date, a hike to Balo Pass. Now, which is the second one? Yes, you must have done now. Very good. The second one is Malcolm would open the door and check weather conditions. Now, find out the third one. Yes. Very good. There was a hidden danger. The grizzly could be just over the ridge, obscured by the bushes. Fourth, Malcolm saw the charging grizzly's open mouth. This is the fourth sentence. Very good. Now the last one is very easy. Yes. So the last one is the grizzly had found Ba. So very good, students. You have tried. Students, you enjoyed this activity? Yes, I know you have enjoyed it very well. Thanks for watching, students. A special thanks to Google Co-in because the images have been taken from Google Co-in for educational purpose only. Thank you.